Good morning, everybody. It's a brisk 35-degree morning, and I'm up here on the rooftop by Coffee Slingers. I've actually never been up here before, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's a bit chilly out this morning. I already had my coffee. I just wanted to come check this out. Maybe next time, if it's not 35 degrees, I might actually have my coffee up here. Yep, just finished my coffee and worked downstairs inside Coffee Slingers for about an hour and a half, and I'm getting ready to head to the office. But like I said, yeah, I just wanted to come up here and check this out because I've never been up here before. Here's a better view of the area. Got the Devon Tower back there. So this street right here is Broadway. And then this part, it's called Automobile Alley. And I am just south of 10th Street, and that's 9th Street right there. In case you ever want to come up here. It's off 10th and Broadway, roughly. Pretty cool spot. Definitely gonna have to try and come up here again sometime when it's a little bit warmer. It's not too bad. If it were windy, it'd be a little bit more difficult. All right, getting ready to head to the office. Well, hey guys, I'm up here at Edmond Hyundai off Broadway in Edmond. It's just north of Kelly Avenue. We recently finished, or thought we were finished with sign install. They just did a complete change out of their signage up here, kind of rebranding a little bit. Logo's still the same, but we just changed the signage out to kind of go with their newer look. Anyway, we've got a sign up here that was shipped to us by a different company, so we were just the installers on this job. We didn't fabricate any of the signs. It's a long story, but something happened when we were doing the concrete demo, and something wasn't accounted for by the engineers or whoever, and we had to install the sign differently than what was drawn up. So because of that, there's like a big gap at the bottom of the sign. We had to make a match plate and use the previous pylon sign's structural steel upright. So we had to kind of weld onto that with this new sign, and that's a different way than was originally intended, but that's just kind of how it happened. That happens a lot in the sign business. So anyway, I had to come up here and take measurements all the way around so that we can build a skirt to go around the bottom to tie it into the ground, so there's not this huge gap underneath the sign. So anyway, that's what I'm up here doing, and should be all kinds of fun. Well, hey guys, I made it back home from work, so I'm sitting here at my desk. In case you're wondering, I had this microphone set up for the reaction videos that I do. Been having some trouble with the microphone. I've got an external mic that connects to my camera. Been having some issues with it. It's doing some kind of weird fuzziness, and I decided to try this and see how it sounds. So as you saw, I kind of ended my day there at Edmond Hyundai trying to figure out a skirt to kind of close off the bottom of that sign, because we don't want to leave the underneath of that exposed, showing the structural steel and all that good stuff. We want to tie it into the ground and make it look like monolithic, like one solid piece there. So we're figuring out a way to do that, to work with the sign manufacturer, because like I said, that was kind of an unexpected change that took place while we were in the middle of that install, and they didn't account for the location. It's kind of funny, this job has been on my plate for like over a year. I've been the constant project manager for it on our side, but I've had two different project managers. The original project manager that I was working with on it from the sign company left, got assigned another one, and he apparently, when she left, the new guy, like, she didn't leave anything to help him understand it. So I had to kind of go back through and forward him all the emails and interactions that I had with the previous project manager. It was a big headache, but if you're in any variation of the construction business, then that's pretty much a normal day. Every project kind of goes that way. Anyway, I had to go out there and take some measurements so that we can have accurate dimensions to work from, and I had to make a sketch to send to the sign manufacturer so they could have all those details and make sure they get everything right, because as I pointed out in that video, there is a stub up, what we call a stub up for electrical, the conduit coming out of the concrete, and I'm not sure why we didn't do that. We didn't have anything to do with the concrete, but whoever did that put that thing, normally you would want it to come up inside the sign. So like, I know you could see, and I'll try and show footage of it again, but how there's a giant gap underneath the sign, and you can see the plate, what we call a match plate, where those are bolted together, and that goes into the ground. We did that because we used the existing pylon sign structural steel that was already buried in the ground. We cut it off, added that plate, and then bolted the new sign to that plate. Because we had to do that, and that was not the original plan. The original plan was to dig a completely new footing with our structural steel going into the ground, but when we started to dig, we realized there was a bunch of stuff underground that we could not get past, and it just wasn't going to work that way. So we decided to use what was currently there. Anyway, when they put that stub up for the electrical, they made it outside of the plane. So if you carry those lines down on all four corners and imagine a box there, that is outside of that box. So if you made a shroud, come straight down to the ground, that electrical stub up is going to be outside. So what we're thinking we're going to have to do is either taper that down to the ground, or the bottom part's going to have to be wider, which I think will look kind of silly. I would prefer, to make it kind of taper outward so that the top is the same size, and matches what's currently there, but then at the bottom it kind of flares outward on all sides. It would tie it in nicer than having, just a rectangular piece that's oversized. It just wouldn't look right with it, but that's going to be up to the sign manufacturer and what they can get approved. I don't want to bore you with work stuff, but that's just kind of where I was today. What I did want to talk about is, as this relates to this series, for those of you that have been following the series, it's called In the Valley, and it's about my daily struggles with depression and anxiety, how it affects my everyday life and the things I have to do. Also, if you've watched the last couple of videos, you know that right now, and you can probably hear it in my voice too, but I'm in a better spot. I'm still not out of the valley, but I'm in a better place. I've had more good days than bad days over the past week. What I wanted to talk about is, since this was a day where I showed you guys a little bit of my work day, I wanted to talk about another facet of something I deal with at work, and this is more of the anxiety side. We've talked about the depression side on a few of these videos, and I think one or two I've mentioned the anxiety side. Now, I want to also preface this with the fact that this has not happened at my current job. My current job, I really don't deserve, I don't know how to say it. I don't feel like I'm good enough. Like, I don't deserve how good I get treated at this place, because I've been treated poorly in most jobs that I've been in, because people don't know how to deal with someone who's on the autism spectrum. They use what we call neurotypical responses and neurotypical means of organizing and all that, and they expect me to reciprocate that. But as someone who's neurodivergent on the autism spectrum, I can't do that. So when you have an employer that has this idea of how everyone should respond to certain lines of questioning or certain situations and you don't do that, you're the odd man out. Most places still aren't educated on neurodivergent people and how you have to talk to people on the autism spectrum differently. I say all that to say I have PTSD to add to my list of issues. I guess you could call it workplace PTSD, and I've had it since about 2010. If you know, you know. I'm not going to mention the name of this place, but I worked for a publishing company in Mustang right out of college. I heard one of the editors that worked there once call it a puppy mill for designers and illustrators. And basically what they do is they take these naive kids that are straight out of college and they make it look like something really awesome, and then they work you to death and pay you crap for it. Now, I will also say this place is no longer in business. They were shut down. Interestingly enough, now the owner and his son, they were indicted for fraud and embezzlement. So if that tells you what kind of people they were and how they treated people, that's really all you need to know. But to be honest, it wasn't. I mean, I had a couple of interactions with the president of the company, who is the son of the owner, and they were not, pleasant interactions, but really, it mainly stems from the person that was in charge of my department. I would get asked these questions and they would expect me to give these neurotypical responses. Let me just say this. I'm trying to think of a good example. If you ask me something that I don't have, I've mentioned in previous videos that I have pre-programmed responses for most conversational topics. So especially small talk things, I have these pre-programmed responses that are like auto responses. I don't have to think about those. They're already logged away and I just kind of select one in my mind and that's what comes out of my mouth. However, if you ask me something that I don't have a pre-programmed response for, it will take me a while to process. And if I keep getting prodded for a response immediately, what comes out of my mouth is it's either not going to make sense, it may be offensive, people may take it the wrong way when it's not intended that way. That's just how my mind works. That's just part of, being on the autism spectrum. Now, I also have a thing we call PDA, and it's pathological demand avoidance. And I'll let you Google that. I won't get into it too much. Once again, it's pathological demand avoidance. So like I said, Google that and you can check it out. That's one of the things I have, and it's gotten me in trouble too, but it's a mental thing that it's hardwired into my brain and I can't do anything about it. So the PTSD thing, I've carried that with me because of how a previous department manager basically gaslighted me, bullied me, kind of tortured me through those ways of communication that my brain just didn't work with. It scarred me in every job I've had since then. I left that place in 2011. And it actually affected me so bad that I applied to a couple places, but I wasn't really thrilled about being in the workplace. And what I did was I started my own business and ran my recording studio, and I did lyric videos and music videos and photography. I did all that for 3 years, full time, just because working for myself, I still dealt with a little bit of stress, but I didn't have a boss that was tormenting me. But, even through that, those scars were still there. And like I said, I had PTSD. We eventually got to the point where I needed insurance because those 3 years that I worked full time for myself, we didn't have insurance and we started having kids at that point. So we really needed that. So I went back to the workforce, got into construction. It went pretty well. I would say the first year, it was okay. There were definitely moments where I knew something was up and my autism was showing, and I was still carrying the PTSD of that former employer. I've just carried it ever since, and like I said, most jobs I've had, I've dealt with that because of a manager, someone in a management position, not knowing how to relay information to me in a way that my brain would accept it, or to wait so that I can process information to give like a coherent response. Fortunately, like I keep saying, my current employer is very understanding of that, so I'm really thankful for that. I wanted to bring up a specific instance. So my office, I have my own office. You guys have seen it in previous videos. I have my own office, and I can close the door anytime I need to have isolated time or whatever. Also upstairs is a lady named Shannon. She works with interior signs, and then next to her in another room are the brothers, Sean and Cameron, and they, share a room, but they have like a divider in there. It's basically 2 offices in one room. Well, Jim, the owner of our company, sometimes he needs to go talk to those guys about, a certain situation that only they really need to know about. And they include me in most of those things. They don't keep a lot from me because I'm fairly high up in the company, but they will sometimes close the door if they need to talk about something, and they just don't want someone walking in there while they're talking about it. Well, my brain, because of my PTSD and anxiety, when that happens, even though I know they're not talking about me, I didn't do anything wrong, my mind immediately, whenever he walks in there and closes that door, my mind immediately runs through all these scenarios of, oh crap, what did I do wrong? They're talking about me. I am in trouble. I did something. They're going to yell at me, even though I should know that that's not the case. They're always an open book with me. They've been nothing but great, like super nice. In February, it will be 2 years that I've worked there, and they've just been great, very understanding, real personable, super laid back. I couldn't ask for a better situation. And it's just an irrational fear thing, and that's where the anxiety comes into play, as well as the autism is just running through all those scenarios of what could they be talking about? What did I do? I have to sit there and think back, like, did I do something wrong today? Did I do something wrong yesterday? What's happened? Like, am I going to get fired? I'm telling you, it's a struggle, and it's one of those things that I just can't avoid it. It just happens. I've rambled on way too long, way longer than I wanted to in this video, and I'm sorry that you've just had to sit here and look at my face this whole time. I intended to get some more video of something, but it just didn't happen today. But I wanted to cover these topics. I don't really want to make this any longer, so I appreciate those of you that are still here watching this video. I know it's been a long, rambling mess. I appreciate it all the same. Thanks for sticking around. Please hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel. I'm going to continue doing these for a little while longer, maybe into November, who knows. We'll just kind of see how it plays out. Once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, deuces.